Hello, class. Unfortunately, I'm making this video as I'm a little hungry. I was reading about this, and I'm a big fan of meat and fish and all these things. So it's before lunch for me. But anyways, I hope you are doing well. And this video, I want to talk about cultivated meat. So many of you have heard of the Beyond Burger, and that's where they use plants to form the heme proteins, and so it's a way to get iron. And I personally don't do this, but some people do have a pure vegetarian diet, and there are some issues with that. It's difficult for humans to get all the nutrients we need, uh, purely vegetarian needs. So among of them is iron. There's also B12 and of course cholesterol, which we need. But there are some issues with cultivated meat, and not cultivated with general. Just uh, well, yeah, actually, yeah, I said cultivated meat. Yeah, there are some issues versus lab grown, but lab grown, we're not there yet. Not in this article, though. There are some things. Some of the when it comes to eating these meats, they don't have the same texture, and some of the experience of eating is the texture of the food. It's the physical properties, and one of the more prominent types of food that comes into contact with is chocolate. So chocolate is much of the experience are the physical properties of the chocolate, the melting point, the viscosity, that kind of thing. That is much for the opinion of the consumer, those physical properties and the enjoyment of the chocolate. So there are already some issues with the physical properties with that with cultivate with lab grown uh, steak and other meat products and fish, for instance. Although we're not there for fish, we're getting closer for meat products. But this article talks about that, and this way, what's also interesting to me in this is also it's kind of looking at the scale up. So we know we can do it. We can make these meats in the lab. And now the next question is, what do we do for a scale up? So, meaning, let's look at something else. Think about cookies. Okay, so when you make cookies, there's a way that you make them in the kitchen. You mix them into a bowl, and then you throw them in the oven. You take them out of the oven. Okay, that's not how they make cookies in a factory. So the way cookies are made in a factory, the ingredients are made. Maybe you outsource, like you're in the kitchen, you can crack some eggs and throw them in there. Maybe a different supplier will bring you already pre-mixed eggs, for instance, and you're not going to have a bunch of people stirring in bowls. You're going to have a machine that has a big metal fin that swirls around that forms the cookie dough, and then you're going to have kind of an extruder that pushes out the right and measured dollop of cookie on there, and then probably some sort of conveyor belt over a heat source is the oven, rather than conventional oven where you stick it in. So uh, things are done differently when you scale things up. And this is partially what they're talking about there. They're talking about scaling it up, and also then what is a scale up going to do to the market? So with a product, it's also important how the market will respond, and also not even mention how the consumer is going to respond. We already mentioned, or was mentioned in here, talking about certain, like right here. So you can go into San Fran at Barcrun in San Francisco. So it costs $150. So doing all these things. Um, so it's interesting. We'll see how this goes, and also not only that, it's interesting to see what the future of food is going to be. Not mentioned in this article. There's some questions about 3D printers. Maybe in the future we'll 3D print our food, and I mean, of course, there's going to be a learning curve. There's also going to be the consumer's response to things, and it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see where this goes. And also, not in the article, another place I see an application for this is space travel. So if we're going to set up colonies on the moon and Mars, how are we going to feed the people? If you've I like Anthony Weir. He's a science fiction author. He wrote The Martian. He also wrote a book called Artemis. And the people on the moon in that book, they ate a lot of algae from bioreactors. So, I mean, that's me with my own, nerdy science fiction books I like to read. So this is interesting. It's interesting to see where this will go. But it's interesting to me read. And also, I love sushi and sashimi. So sorry for the people here that don't eat meat, but I rather enjoy uh, fish. So yeah, so hopefully you enjoy the article and think about the future of food and also how chemistry deals with it. And that's one of the interesting thing about chemistry is that it's such a broad topic. And I'm showing you all these videos about all these broad things and partially unfortunately with chemistry, we don't really do any outreach. So if you look at other subjects, I mean, so history does quite a bit of outreach. Astronomy does a huge amount of outreach. And the reason why chemistry we don't do outreach is because we're in everything and we're just so useful. So uh, that's one of my aims though with these videos in these class is to kind of think about kind of broaden your horizon and say, oh, what else is in the realm? What else is new and going on? And so this is one of them. Oh, and it mentions tobacco. I was reading about it mentions tobacco plants. Tobacco plants are also various, and it's not just for nicotine, of course. I mean, eggplants have nicotine in them, so it's not like tobacco is the only source of nicotine or whatnot. I mean, if you eat a lot of eggplants, you're getting quite a bit of nicotine in you. I mean, not as much as smoking cigarettes, of course, or vaping, but there's nicotine in other plants as well. But tobacco is an interesting plant because you can get huge amounts of biological materials, and also even the diseases of tobacco is interesting. There's a disease called the tobacco mosaic virus that forms these it's like a little nanotube of like the viruses usually think about like a bacteriophage, which just kind of looks menacing, or COVID or HIV, which are kind of like kind of spherical, sort of like a cosohedra or something like that, with all these little spikes on them. So, but the tobacco mosaic virus is kind of a cylinder, looks like a nanotube, and that's also you can do experiments with that and get huge amounts of biological materials. So, also in this article talks about using uh, other types of bioreactors, and in this case, plants to grow certain products. So it's interesting. It's interesting to see what's going to happen. And although when you're making things in plants, you tend to not need much product. But if you're going to make synthetic meat to eat and consume, you're going to need metric tons of this stuff. So many, maybe thousands of metric tons, maybe millions of metric tons, depends on the size of the market. So there's a huge scale up that has to happen for this. And also, I mean, what's going to happen to that farmland and also the animals? So we would probably change some of this would be a society changing thing, and this would also create some new problems, but also create new opportunities. So it's interesting. It's interesting to think about the future. I like these kind of things. Where is the future of food? Where is the future of these kind of things? So, okay. Hope you enjoyed the article, and with all my messages, I hope you are doing well. And if you are not doing well, please let me know, and I will do what I can to help. And so often we miss the importance of mental health and the importance of being happy. So, and mental health is anxiety especially has at least tripled issues since the start of the pandemic. So, of course, there's other mental health issues, but anxiety in particular is unfortunately what many people are suffering from. So, let me know if you need any help, and I will always do what I can to help. So. aloha for now, and I hope I'm about to go eat something. I'm getting hungry. My brain's losing sugar. So aloha.